great group of human beings. Above all else, they were good people, and they worked hard. The combination of Wayne Embry and Lenny Wilkens was a 1-2 punch that really brought the best. First, it brought him into the fold, into the team, and then Lenny got the best out of him once they got here.
The thing about Wayne is that he's genuine. And I think that's the thing that comes across first and foremost when you meet Wayne and you start talking to him and you start listening to him. You see how genuine he is.
When I think of Wayne, he was a great person, just a great man. And he talked about with his team when he'd say, Mike, character is so important. Building a team. How many times he said, Mike, it's about the team. And that's what he wanted to put together here, and really did. When you think of the guys from Larry Nance to Price, Mark Price, and Brad Daugherty, that was a heck of a group there.
He saw character every bit as important as talent.
But we had started the process to find somebody, and the idea was we wanted somebody who'd been there and knew what it took to put together a team that could win a championship. And the same was true with the coach. So we interviewed Wayne, among others, and gradually, through the interviewing process, began to feel he was the right person. And then we knew how he felt about players, too. That was part of the interviewing process, and about even draft picks. So we had the benefit of his insights.
And he refers a lot to Brad Daugherty. When Brad Daugherty was coming out of North Carolina, a lot of people thought he was soft. But Wayne had studied him and he knew that he was not soft, and he'd gotten better every year, and Wayne was sure that would continue. He knew his background, his parents, his family. And I think Wayne was one of the first general managers to actually conduct pre-draft interviews of players, like job interviews.
I was one of the first to start doing that because I felt that we're hiring an individual first and a basketball player second.
Well, I think character is important to anything, everything. I mean, if you don't have people with strong character and really strong values and a willingness to be involved and be accountable, and respect each other. Mutual respect and trust are huge.
Apparently there was a at least momentary inquiry from the Cavs about whether they should take Len Bias ahead of Brad Daugherty, like a heartbeat. And Wayne said, no, Brad Daugherty's our guy. So they drafted Brad. Then the Cavs had slated Ron Harper at 8, so they got Ron Harper at 8.
My philosophy was, and still is, that in starting a basketball team, you want to start with the center first and the point guard and build around that. And Brad Daugherty by far was the best center I felt in the draft that year.
The '86 draft was transformative for the franchise in so many ways. I mean, we not only did we have Hot Rod coming, being able to play, but getting an all-star center, all-star point guard, and another very good player in Ron Harper. I mean, you can't get that kind of transition happening very often. So it was terrific, and having Wayne and Lenny overseeing everything from that point forward was a great step forward too.
Well, I think Wayne was just smart enough to let Lenny Wilkens do his job without him being down there looking over his shoulder all the time. Because I think he's not afraid to surround himself with great people and trust those people.
That team exemplified what he was looking for. They moved the ball. Lenny Wilkens had them so well coached. They really, you go back and watch some of the video, and it's amazing how well they moved the ball and got the right shot.
Now he just picked that guy off, that Brad Rowland. There we go. Guy got pressure on him.
See, that's good basketball.
That's just good basketball.
Hit the roller hit the low man stepped over, so you hit it across. That's just how it should be played.
Well, for me, Hot Rod was a team player and was willing to do whatever, as he liked to call him, Coach Lenny wanted him to do. And John was a guy that you really wanted on your team because you knew he was always there and always ready to do whatever had to be done.
Here's a guy 6'11", almost 7 feet. He could guard almost anybody that they needed. And he'd go out there, what Coach Linney asked him to do, whether it was come off the bench, which was much of the time. If they needed him to start, somebody was hurt. You know, at times, we had a front line of Hot Rod Williams, Larry Nance, and Brad Daugherty. That's 3 guys about 7 feet that could do a lot.
And what made it so bad, when I got traded, I couldn't stand Hot Rod. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to this team. I couldn't stand him. Then we became best friends once I got to meet him, and man, he had my back a lot of games. I had his, but we became best friends out there.
Hot Rod was just one of those guys that you just knew you could count on every night. We had a lot of guys on our team like that. You know, you just showed up, we played the right way, we played together, we cared about each other, we did stuff with our families on and off the court, and we really had a true sense of like a family, and you know, Hot Rod was a big part of that.
You know, just from watching games like that, you know, there was him, Price, Daugherty, Hot Rod. They had all those guys that if one was having an off night, the other 3 would pick up the slack, or if you slowed one down, if the defense focused on 1 or 2 guys, the other 2 would step up. So it just seemed a whole lot more of a team-oriented game.
That team was special because they were all high-character individuals, and they got along with each other. And you know, quite often we go in the locker room, start a training camp, and we tell our players, you play for each other. And so they developed that mutual respect and dependence on each other. And that's why I think they were so good.
To me, being a Cavalier is about character, it's about integrity, it's about pride. You know, the good, hard-working people of northeastern Ohio, they're the backbone of America, the backbone of what we're about as a society, of people who get up every day, go to work very, very hard, enjoy their family, or about their family. And being a Cavalier is all about that as well. It's about teamwork, it's about family, it's about tradition, and as well as those things I mentioned beforehand, integrity, character, and pride. That's what it is to be a Cavalier.
Hearing the fans cheer, playing with my teammates, I mean, Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Ron Harper, Hot Rod, I said we just loved each other, loved playing for each other, loved seeing Hot Rod get a dunk off my pass. I mean, all that stuff makes you feel good. And what made it so good, I think we were surrounded with good coaches, general manager, owners. It goes all the way through the people that work there. We just all smiles all the time. I mean, we definitely had times where we butt heads a little bit in practice, but we would know it's all for trying to win at the end of the day.
The Cavs team was super talented. You talk about Brad Daugherty at center, and then you had Mark Price, who's this awesome point guard that was like a 50, 40, 90 guy every single year, and you wanted to emulate his shooting. You had Larry Nance, you had Ron Harper, Craig Elo, you had Hot Rod Williams. I mean, it must have been a really cool time to be a Cavaliers fan, and you look back at those some of those images from those teams and the fans going crazy in Richfield. Just a pretty cool time to be a Cavs fan, and they had a ton of talent.
Those were the players they wanted. That was, you know, as it turned out, that was a great team.
I think people look back at that time as a fun time, even though we did not get all the way through against Michael Jordan. But they understand what was in the way, and I think that's why there is a lot of respect and love for those teams. And what was not to love, from Mark Price to Brad Daugherty, my goodness.